personal growth, self-help, the dark side. Wow. It's funny because you said the topic and it was like,
right.
what? And then you start to think about it, like, yes. Yeah, I do see, but explain yourself.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So there's a cultural trend for self been going for a long time.
It's really
massive, yeah. And there's a ton of information out there. It's all over social media. There's books, podcasts. It's a massive money-making machine. And sometimes but I'll come back to that. There's contradictory information, but the darkest side of it is people start to kind of use it as a yardstick against their own life. So in and of itself, self-help is great, but it's very two-dimensional. So you get information being passed to you, listening to information or seeing it. Oh, I need to apply this to myself to make my emotional world better, my mental health better, my career better, my physical health, improve myself. But a lot of the way it's put across is, if you do, you'll be here, and then you'll be there in life, and then you'll be there. And people use this as a yardstick, and then it starts to have the reverse effect. Sometimes you start to get obsessed with it. I'm not getting to where I want to get to because I'm not doing enough of X, Y, and Z. So I'll consume more of X, Y, and Z. It's still not working. And now I must be a failure of some sort. And I have this come in my room a lot. People sitting there exhausted, anxiety, self-esteem is on the floor. And they're like, for 5 years I've been doing, wow, listening to podcasts, reading all the books, buying all of these courses. And I'm worse off was when I first started this self-help.
Can't live up to expectations.
Exactly, yeah. So because it's, you get this, and you get some, the other side of it. Like, if you want to be and at the top of the pyramid, then you need to get up at 5 a.m. and then you need to do some meditation, and then you do some journaling, and then you go to work, but you start at 9 o'clock and finish at 9:30 because you're smart, not hard. And then you're going to do this and come home, and people draw it in, and they kind of go, okay, this person, I'll buy that. And then when I buy that product, apparently there's 6 more after that, I get those ones as well, because in and of itself, but your reflective surface, so you've only got yourself.
There's a lot of things. I think one of the worst things is the comparing.
Yeah.
We've talked about, it's such a big thing because you hear, look at them, they're married, look at them, they've got their own house, they go on holidays.
Yeah, this is a
look at,
massive
they're
one.
doing it so much better, and it just makes you, I said, it's the others as opposed to comparing to myself yesterday.
Yeah. A lot of, and it's within that is acceptance of where you are. So a lot of pushes you towards a destination as opposed to life is, and it's the same with people don't understand that it's a process you have to go through, and sometimes you have to stop the process. The same with self-help, but again, self-help is guided by the self and getting, so people keep going, keep consuming, keep trying. Whereas a good therapist comes around to you saying, I think maybe you break to process and absorb the things you're learning about yourself and where you are in your journey, and maybe just ground out and enjoy the moment and where you are in your life in order to move forward.
So really what you're saying is self-help is only self-help if it's helpful.
Because it could be detrimental
because
too.
Then if it's detrimental, it's not self-help.
No, but how do you realise it? Because you can get addicted or obsessed.
Exactly. And again, because it's done solitary, you have, if you think about it, when I say it's two-dimensional, you're let's say you're a guru in mental health. You're speaking to a huge... You're speaking, therefore, it's kind of one size fits all. And someone, on the consumer, has to kind of filter, read between the lines of to them. And that's not all easy. So if you're saying you should be here in your life and to do this, you should be doing that, or you ought to be, let's change the words. So if you do this, this, and this is going to happen. Then this turns into a should, a shouldn't, an ought, an ought not, a must, a mustn't, and starts to lower the self-esteem because you're not being able to, comparing yourself to what this two-dimensional person is saying because it's to a...
Like
yes.
And he's loud in his approach. I find him aggressive. I feel intimidated.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like he's telling you off all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then there are people just love it. Obviously, they respond to that. But for me,
some people lap it up,
like,
but some people And they don't realise, well, whilst they're listening to this, there's some. If you've already got issues with, say, self-esteem or self-worth, this quickly turns into a critical voice in the back of your head, and it's like, so I'm failing at this, and often the response is to consume more, try more, and push harder and push harder and push harder. And there's outside of it helping you gauge where you're at.
Can it be the other way around as well, in the sense that you're doing so well with the self-help that you suddenly like are judging everybody else and trying to everyone else? Like, why aren't you doing whatever?
That's like every third person down on Costa who's a guru. But it does happen with people, yeah. And it's kind of referred to in Greek history, Greek mythology as hubris. And a lot of people do have hubris and start to get very elevated. And I'm very, very... And they lose touch with themselves out and begin to judge others. And possibly...
Just so forward in thinking and advanced.
Exactly.
And
kind of, well, that's great for you, but that might not be great for here. So it's one way around it is, I'd say, again, inspiring podcasts, self-help books, they're all fantastic, but you side kind of individual look as second guys who's helping you gauge where you're at with life, and also giving you the encouragement that, hey, where you're at in your journey and you're moving forward. And instead of comparing yourself to what this podcast, this person, compare yourself to where you were yesterday and look at your actual progression, making decisions along the this like is helpful to me anymore. No, this is not realistic within my life, so I need to reframe it, change it a little bit, and move over in this direction, and still give myself that positive impact.
It's like all of them are one glove fits all, which isn't the case. So it's a good orientation to get you on the right. And when it comes to it, speaking to someone individual, if you want to speak it through, which is very advisable, as we were seeing with Alice earlier, talking things through. Important.
Yeah.
And so having a psychotherapist or a professional to then say,
Definitely.
I'm doing this to help you gauge, I think is also...
They'll pick up on, the second person will pick up on your contradictions, how you things, the paradigm, what filters you're putting over stuff, what you're not, or where you're pushing or maybe not hard enough. They'll help you to see that. And if they're good, they'll tell you, they'll kind of nudge you in that direction so you realise it for yourself, because that's where it has to come from within. You remember that film Inception? Inspiration. And they couldn't give the person inspiration. It has to come, you can plant the seed, but it has to come with growth and helping yourself. It has to come from in there. So, and if you imagine a lot of self-help, the way it's delivered information. So if you have a monsoon, if you have a monsoon and the land is dry, water hits the land can't absorb it, the water flows off. We're the same with information, same with growth and personal growth. You need it in, and everybody's different, that information, that processing in a small amount that you can then absorb and make part of being. If you're flooded with this information, I'm going to yoga class and exercises and I'm watching all these podcasts and whoosh, it's just going off you. Work.
Yeah.
So
take it slow.
Because surely not everything is suitable for everyone, though.
No, it's not.
It's about, like, because I always think of it like a puzzle and go, right, that bit's going to work for me. And just because I don't like it, doesn't work for me, doesn't work for someone else.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And you have to watch as well who's delivering it. Always check your sources, because there's some very unscrupulous people out there. There's a lot of psychology, and it comes across as people. I won't name names because they've got good legal teams, but they are very good at taking hold of vulnerable people and spinning things around, and these people will latch onto them, part with tons and tons of cash, and if you find yourself elevating a therapist, a guru, a source of information onto a
cult
pedestal,
or anything that it becomes,
if you've put it up there, you're in the danger zone, because it shouldn't be up there. It should be alongside you, equal with you on that journey. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Simon.
Okay.
Well, I think definitely interesting things to think about, and obviously great to get on that journey of self-improvement, self-help, but just keep everything, don't overdo it.
No,
like
don't
everything.
overdo it,
Moderation.
This segment is brought to you by Clear Vision Psychotherapy.